Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, Abu Musab, Arizona Zarqawi, Abu Musab from Zarqa, October 20, 1966, June 7, 2006. Born Ahmad Fadil al-Nazal al-Khalili was a militant Islamist from Jordan who ran a paramilitary training camp in Afghanistan. He became known after going to Iraq and being responsible for a series of bombings, beheadings, and attacks during the Iraq War, reportedly turning an insurgency against U.S. troops in Iraq into a Shia-Sunni civil war. He was sometimes known as Sheikh of the Slaughterers. He formed al-Tawhid wal-Jihad in the 1990s, and led it until his death in June 2006. Zarqawi took responsibility, on several audio and video recordings, for numerous acts of violence in Iraq, including suicide bombings and hostage executions. Zarqawi opposed the presence of U.S. and Western military forces in the Islamic world, as well as the West's support for the existence of Israel. In late 2004 he joined al-Qaeda, and pledged allegiance to Osama bin Laden. After this, al-Tawhid wal-Jihad became known as Tanzim Qaedat al-Jihad fi Bilad al-Rafidin, also known as al-Qaeda in Iraq, and al-Zarqawi was given the al-Qaeda title, Emir of al-Qaeda in the country of Two Rivers, in September 2005. He declared all-out war on Shiites in Iraq, after the Iraqi government offensive on insurgents in the Sunni town of Tal Afar. He dispatched numerous suicide bombers throughout Iraq to attack American soldiers and areas with large concentrations of Shia militias. He is also thought to be responsible for the 2005 bombing of 3 hotels in Amman, Jordan. Zarqawi was killed in a targeted killing by a joint U.S. force on June 7, 2006, while attending a meeting in an isolated safe house in Hipib, a small village approximately 8 kilometers west-northwest of Baquba. One United States Air Force F-16C jet dropped 2 500-pound guided bombs on the safe house. Course of life. Early life. Ahmad Fadil al-Nazal al-Khalili is believed to have been al-Zarqawi's real name. Abu Musab literally translates to Musab's father, born in the name Ahmed al-Khalili to an impoverished Palestinian family. In 1966, he was raised in a mining town named Zarqa, located 17 miles north of Amman. Zarqawi is reported as having been a high school dropout and a petty criminal in his youth. 1989 to 1998 Afghanistan War, Jumd al-Sham, jail. In the late 1980s, Zarqawi went to Afghanistan to join the Mujahideen who were fighting the invading Soviet troops. Arriving there in 1989, the Soviets were already leaving. Instead of fighting, he became a reporter for an Islamist newsletter and met with Osama bin Laden. According to a report by the Washington Institute for Near East Policy, Zarqawi's criminal past and extreme views on takfir created major friction and distrust with bin Laden when the two first met in Afghanistan in 1999. He returned to Jordan, and sometime in 1989 to 1992 he helped start the local militant group Jumd al-Sham. He was arrested in Jordan after guns and explosives were found in his home and sent to prison in 1992. In prison, he attempted to draft his cellmates into joining him to overthrow the rulers of Jordan, a former prison mate told Time magazine in 2004. According to Jordanian officials and acquaintances, Zarqawi developed a reputation as a cell block enforcer and adopted more radical Islamic beliefs. 1999–2000 Training of Jihadists. In 1999, Zarqawi was released from prison in a general amnesty by Jordan's King Abdullah. Within months after his release, according to Jordanian officials, Zarqawi tried to resurrect his Jumd al-Sham. Then, also according to Jordanian officials, he was involved in the Millennium Plot, a bid to bomb the Radisson Shash Hotel in Amman before New Year's Day 2000. the plot was discovered, and Zarqawi fled to Pakistan. When Pakistan revoked his visa, he crossed into Afghanistan, where he met, still according to Jordanian officials and also German court testimony, with Osama bin Laden and other al-Qaeda leaders in Kandahar and Kabul. He asked them for assistance and money to set up his own training camp in Herat. With some small seed money of $200,000 from Osama bin Laden, the camp opened soon and attracted Jordanian militants. That camp was either for his group Jund al-Sham, as one indirect source contended, or for his newly started group Jamaat al-Tawhid wal-Jihad, as the Washington Institute for Near East Policy claimed, or he started one or two camps for both of those groups in Herat in 1999, or it is also possible that Zarqawi set up only one camp for only one group known by those two different names in 1999. GlobalSecurity.org called it a camp near Herat, reportedly specialized in manufacturing poisons. 2001 Resistance to U.S. invasion of Afghanistan. Early September 2001, Zarqawi was in Iran. After the October 2001 U.S.-led invasion of Afghanistan, Zarqawi returned in Afghanistan to help repel the assault with Taliban and al-Qaeda fighters, where he either suffered cracked ribs following the collapse of a bombed house or, according to a Jordanian intelligence source, was wounded in the chest during a firefight. Late 2001. He fled to Iran in December 2001 or January 5, 2002 and received medical treatment in Mashhad. The Iranian government reportedly refused Jordanian requests to extradite Zarqawi, but circumstantial evidence suggests that Iranian authorities may have restricted Zarqawi's activities to some extent. 2002 involvement in the murder of Lawrence Foley. The U.S. government contended that Zarqawi received medical treatment in Baghdad, Iraq, from March until May 2002. About that time, Jordanian authorities asked Iraqi President Saddam Hussein to extradite Zarqawi for his suspected role in the Millennium Plot of 1999. By and during the summer of 2002, Zarqawi's location and activities appear in reports which conflict with one another. In 2004, Jordanian court documents said that Zarqawi, during this summer, began training a band of fighters at a base in Syria, which group on 28 October 2002 shot and killed Lawrence Foley, U.S. Senior Administrator of U.S. Agency for International Development in Amman, Jordan. According to Arab intelligence sources in 2004, Zarqawi was still in Syria late in 2002, when U.S. and Jordan requested his extradition from Syria, which Syria refused. But the U.S. 2006 Senate report on pre-war intelligence on Iraq reported that al-Zarqawi was in Baghdad from May until late November 2002. A little later, Zarqawi, the Senate report claimed, fled to Iran and northeastern Iraq. 2003 to 2006 terrorist activities in and around Iraq. In February 2003, according to Arab intelligence sources, Zarqawi in eastern Iran planned military resistance to the expected U.S. invasion of Iraq. And, by March 2003, according to British intelligence, Zarqawi's network had set up sleeper cells in Baghdad to resist an expected U.S. occupation. Over 2003 to 2006. Zarqawi and his group Jamaat al-Tawhid wal-Jihad, later called Tanzim Qaedat al-Jihad fi Bilad al-Rafidin, are accused of dozens of violent and deadly attacks in Iraq, which had, after the March 2003 US-led invasion of Iraq, fallen into chaos and anarchy. Some of these attacks Zarqawi indeed claimed responsibility for, as well as for some attacks in Morocco, Turkey and Jordan, and some foiled attacks in Turkey and Jordan, all listed in our next section, attacks. Zarqawi targeted Shia Islamic mosques as well as civilians, UN representatives, Iraqi government institutions, Egypt's ambassador, Russian diplomats and foreign civilians in Iraq and hotel visitors in Jordan. Possibly also Christian churches, the Jordanian embassy, and the US-led multinational force in Iraq, most of whom he professedly hated either as apostates of Islam, or as infidels giving Palestine to the Jews, or as individuals oppressing and humiliating our Islamic people, or nation, US. Chasing Zarqawi, 2003–2006. The Bush administration in February 2003 in the UN Security Council used Zarqawi's alleged presence in Iraq to justify the March 2003 invasion of Iraq. On October 15, 2004, the U.S. State Department added Zarqawi and the Jamaat al-Tawhid wal-Jihad group to its list of foreign terrorist organizations, and ordered a freeze on any assets that the group might have in the United States. By May of 2005, Zarqawi was the most wanted man in Jordan and Iraq, having claimed scores of attacks in Iraq against Iraqis and foreigners, and being blamed for perhaps even more. The U.S. On February 24, 2006, the U.S. Department of Justice's FBI also added al-Zarqawi to the Seeking Information, War on Terrorism list, the first time that he had ever been added to any of the FBI's three major wanted lists. For the U.S. eventually killing Zarqawi in 2006, see the section Death. 4 wives, 5 children. Zarqawi's first wife, Muhammad, was a Jordanian woman who was around 40 years old when Zarqawi died in June 2006. She lived in Zarqa, Jordan along with their 4 children, including a 7-year-old son, Musab. She had advised Zarqawi to leave Iraq temporarily and give orders to his deputies from outside the country. He gave me an angry look and said, I can't betray my religion and get out of Iraq. In the name of Allah, I will not leave Iraq until victory or martyrdom, she quoted al-Zarqawi as saying. Zarqawi's second wife, Isra, was 14 years old when he married her. She was the daughter of Yassin Jared, a Palestinian Islamic militant, who is blamed for the killing in 2003 of Ayatollah Muhammad Baqir al-Hakim, the Iraqi Shia leader. She bore him a child when she was 15 and was killed along with Zarqawi and the child. Al-Zarqawi's third wife was an Iraqi who might have perished in the airstrike with her husband. Zarqawi is also said to have married a woman from a Pakistani tribe around Peshawar. Attacks outside Iraq in 1999, Zarqawi, according to Jordanian officials, became involved in a plot to blow up the Radisson Shash Hotel in Amman, where many Israeli and American tourists lodged, before New Year's Day 2000. He failed in this attempt and fled to Afghanistan and then entered Iraq via Iran after the overthrow of the Taliban in late 2001. From Iraq he started his terrorist campaign by hiring men to kill Lawrence Foley, who was a senior U.S. diplomat working for the U.S. Agency for International Development in Jordan. On October 28, 2002, Foley was assassinated outside his home in Amman. Under interrogation by Jordanian authorities, 3 suspects confessed that they had been armed and paid by Zarqawi to perform the assassination. U.S. officials believed that the planning and execution of the Foley assassination was led by members of Afghan Jihad, the International Mujahideen Movement, and Al-Qaeda. One of the leaders, Salam Sad Salam bin Suwaid, was paid over $27,858 for his work in planning assassinations in Jordan against U.S., Israeli, and Jordanian government officials. Suwaid was arrested in Jordan for the murder of Foley. Zarqawi was again sentenced in absentia in Jordan. This time, as before, his sentence was death. Zarqawi, according to the BBC, was named as the brains behind a series of deadly bomb attacks in Casablanca, Morocco and Istanbul, Turkey in 2003. U.S. officials believed that Zarqawi trained others in the use of poison for possible attacks in Europe. Zarqawi had also planned to attack a NATO summit in June 2004. According to suspects arrested in Turkey, Zarqawi sent him to Istanbul to organize an attack on a NATO summit there on June 28 or June 29 of 2004. On April 26, 2004, Jordanian authorities announced they had broken up an al-Qaeda plot to use chemical weapons in Amman. Among the targets were the U.S. Embassy, the Jordanian Prime Minister's office and the headquarters of Jordanian intelligence. In a series of raids, the Jordanians seized 20 tons of chemicals, including blistering agents and nerve gas, and numerous explosives. Also seized were 3 trucks equipped with specially modified plows, apparently designed to crash through security barricades. Jordanian state television aired a videotape of 4 men admitting they were part of the plot. One of the conspirators, Azmi al-Jayazi, said that he was acting on the orders of Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. On February 15, 2006, Jordan's High Court of Security sentenced 9 men, including al-Zarqawi, to death for their involvement in the plot. Zarqawi was convicted of planning the entire attack from his post in Iraq, funding the operation with nearly $120,000, and sending a group of Jordanians into Jordan to execute the plan. 8 of the defendants were accused of belonging to a previously unknown group, Katab al-Tawhid, or Battalions of Monotheism, which was headed by al-Zarqawi and linked to al-Qaeda. The November 2005 Amman bombings that killed 60 people in 3 hotels, including several officials of the Palestinian Authority and members of the Chinese defense delegation, were claimed by Zarqawi's group al-Qaeda in Iraq. Attacks inside Iraq. The Weekly Standard reports that, before the invasion of Iraq, Zarqawi ran a terrorist haven in Kurdish northern Iraq. According to a March 2003 British intelligence report, Zarqawi had set up sleeper cells in Baghdad before the Iraq War. The report stated, reporting since suggests that senior al-Qaeda associate Abu Musab al-Zarqawi has established sleeper cells in Baghdad, to be activated during a U.S. occupation of the city. These cells apparently intend to attack U.S. targets using car bombs and other weapons. Al-Qaeda-associated terrorists continued to arrive in Baghdad in early March. In May 2004, a video appeared on an alleged Al-Qaeda website showing a group of 5 men, their faces covered with keffiyeh or balaclavas, beheading American civilian Nicholas Berg, who had been abducted and taken hostage in Iraq weeks earlier. The CIA claimed that the speaker on the tape wielding the knife that killed Berg was al-Zarqawi. The video opens with the title, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi slaughters an American. The speaker states that the murder was in retaliation for U.S. abuses at the Abu Ghraib prison. Following the death of al-Zarqawi, CNN spoke with Nicholas's father and longtime anti-war activist Michael Berg, who stated that al-Zarqawi's killing would lead to further vengeance and was not a cause for rejoicing. Zarqawi is also believed to have personally beheaded another American civilian, Owen Eugene Armstrong, in September 2004. United States officials implicated Zarqawi in over 700 killings in Iraq during the invasion, mostly from bombings. Since March 2004, that number rose to the thousands. According to the United States State Department, Zarqawi was responsible for the Canal Hotel bombing of the United Nations headquarters in Iraq on August 19, 2003. This attack killed 22 people, including the United Nations Secretary-General's Special Iraqi Envoy Sergio Vieira de Mello. Zarqawi's biggest alleged atrocities in Iraq included the attacks on the Shia shrines in Karbala and Baghdad in March 2004, which killed over 180 people, and the car bomb attacks in Najaf and Karbala in December 2004, which claimed over 60 lives. Zarqawi is believed by the former coalition provisional authority in Iraq to have written an intercepted letter to the al-Qaeda leadership in February 2004 on the progress of the Iraqi jihad. However, al-Qaeda denied they had written the letter. The U.S. military believes Zarqawi organized the February 2006 attack on the al-Askari mosque in Samarra, in an attempt to trigger sectarian violence between Sunnis and Shiites in Iraq. In a January 2005 internet recording, Zarqawi condemned democracy as the big American lie, and said participants in Iraq's January 30 election were enemies of Islam. Zarqawi stated, "We have declared a bitter war against democracy and all those who seek to enact it. Democracy is also based on the right to choose your religion, and that is against the rule of Allah." On April 25, 2006, a video appearing to show Zarqawi surfaced. In the tape, the man says holy warriors are fighting on despite a 3-year crusade. U.S. experts told the BBC they believed the recording was genuine. One part of the recording shows a man, who bears a strong resemblance to previous pictures of Zarqawi, sitting on the floor and addressing a group of masked men with an automatic rifle at his side. "Your Mujahideen sons were able to confront the most ferocious of crusader campaigns on a Muslim state," the man says. Addressing U.S. President George W. Bush, he says, "Why don't you tell people that your soldiers are committing suicide, taking drugs and hallucination pills to help them sleep? By Allah," he says, "your dreams will be defeated by our blood and by our bodies. What is coming is even worse." The speaker in the video also reproaches the U.S. for its arrogance and insolence in rejecting a truce offered by our prince and leader, Osama bin Laden. The United States Army aired an unedited tape of Zarqawi in May 2006 highlighting the fact that he did not know how to clear a stoppage on the stolen M249 squad automatic weapon he was using. Attempts to provoke U.S. attack on Iran. A document found in Zarqawi's safe house indicates that the group was trying to provoke the U.S. to attack Iran in order to reinvigorate the insurgency in Iraq and to weaken American forces in Iraq. The question remains, how to draw the Americans into fighting a war against Iran. It is not known whether America is serious in its animosity towards Iran, because of the big support Iran is offering to America in its war in Afghanistan and in Iraq. Hence, it is necessary first to exaggerate the Iranian danger and to convince America and the West in general of the real danger coming from Iran. The document then outlines 6 ways to incite war between the two nations. Some experts questioned the authenticity of the document.